Hello, this is Noel. This character has always made it at least to the middle ranks in any version, and in 2002, even if not the strongest, is a crazy mind game character, Iori. And when it comes to 2002, the move that newbies most want to try is also Iori's mode combo. As long as you can get the rhythm, Iori's mode combo is easy enough to master quickly. I'm not kidding, you really only need to practice for an hour. Honestly, if I add the psychological aspects, it becomes too much, so I focused on explaining the specs. And once you know Iori's specs, you'll naturally pick up the basics of mind games. Unfortunately, it's basic skills that are completely useless in the real world. It starts with a ranged A, but its hitbox isn't great, you can't cancel it, and there's really nothing useful about it. The attack's hitbox is awkward, so it can't even be used as an anti-air. No matter how good Iori is, this move is beyond saving. The far A was useless, but the close A is actually decent, right? That's right, it's not that its specs are outstanding, but it's good for connecting combos. You can cancel almost all of Iori's moves into it and link them into combos. You can connect it to Ya Otome as well, but usually after linking with Mongtan, people tend to follow up with a different move instead of going this far. This is the far standing B, which has a motion that looks like he's cracking his joints. The hitbox itself isn't that great, so sometimes it looks like it should hit, but it doesn't. It's a bit of an awkward normal. Still, thanks to its pretty decent startup speed, if you throw it out at awkward ranges, it can sometimes catch the opponent. If Gong does a combo, you'll end up using close B really often. Personally, I think it's just as good a normal as close A and close C. The first advantage of close B is that it has a low hitbox along with a decent startup. The second advantage is that you can cancel into any move and connect it as a combo. And you can cancel into Seolpum, which is the core of Gongyi Iori, and set it up. Seolpum and Gongyi Iori can only be used from close A or B, but since you can hit low and connect it, B is preferred. However, you have to cancel very quickly for it to connect as a combo, so it's a bit tricky. It's good, but this is a really awkwardly good long-range C, isn't it? The hitbox is bad, but if you land a hit, you can follow up with Kangyu and up to 3 more hits. It's also useful for catching delays, and you can use it as a projectile cancel. For a more entertaining zoning move, you can cancel long-range C into Mongtan first hit. It's a zoning move that takes advantage of Mongtan's crazy hitbox. If you use it well, it could look really cool. And for the sake of beginner-friendly combos, you can use long-range C as a safe combo route. Replacing Seolpum with a combo is really simple, but I'll cover that in a bit. This is the close-range C with the fastest startup. You could say it's the starter for the standard combo. Combos using close-range C are divided into quite a few types. From the simplest Gyuhua to Mongtan and mode combos, it's the foundation for almost every combo. Thank you. It has an attack hitbox upwards, so it can serve as an anti-air, but it's not very good at it. The hitbox itself isn't very reliable though. The only relatively safe and long-lasting poke is far D. Using far D to keep your opponent in check or apply pressure depends on your experience and the opponent's patterns, so there's nothing more specific I can say about it. The most incomprehensible normal is close D. It's sometimes used to stop the opponent's jump rush, but the risk is quite high. Or it's used as a combo move to try to squeeze out a bit more damage, but there's not much difference. You'll mainly use crouching A as your regular move. Sometimes it's used for zoning, but usually it's used to start a combo after a low attack. It can be cancelled in various ways, but if you use it alone, it's not very effective. This is crouching B, which has the same startup speed as close B. Mashing this repeatedly is pointless. After it hits, you should connect to another normal move. After crouching B, crouching A is the best option. That's because it's the safest way to link your moves. If that's too difficult, you can use close A or B, but if the distance gets too far and a far normal comes out, you won't be able to cancel, so be careful. Then, the low starter becomes useless. Still, it looks cool, so it's okay to use it for fun once in a while, honestly. Crouching C and D are basically useless. They have no practical use at all. The hitbox on the ground is really good, but it's slow to start up. Sometimes people use this as an anti-air, but honestly, it's better to just use Oni Flame. Personally, I think it's safer to use it to cancel a projectile and mess up the timing. Also, for fun or for entertainment purposes, you can use D and Mongtan together. Both have the strongest hitboxes on the ground, so it's surprisingly not bad. Jump C and D have a motion where you slam down with both hands. It's good whether it hits or is blocked, and the situation afterward is favorable. Usually, if you use it when the opponent is near the corner, the huge stun makes the opponent really love it. The opponent just can't do anything. If the main jump normal, jump C is hard to use. Sometimes jump A is used instead. That's because jump A has low damage, but its active frames are long and it comes out quickly. Beginners have a hard time hitting crouching opponents with jump C, but it's a bit easier if you use jump A. Even though the stance looks strange, jump B is actually quite strong. Although the hurt box overlaps with the hit box, its fast startup covers this weakness and allows it to serve its role in air-to-air situations. You can also use its long reach to approach with a short hop, and since it works on crouching opponents too, if you use it occasionally, your opponent will be surprised by its crazy range. Jump C is the go-to for ground pressure. Although it's a basic move with the drawbacks of a slightly slow startup and a hitbox that disappears quickly, it's great when used with a short hop, and people really love it. Its hitbox is actually better than Jump D, so I tend to use this one more. However, it might take a bit of practice to hit crouching opponents with it. You can also use Jump D instead of Jump C. Whether it's air-to-air or air-to-ground, it performs above average in most situations. The downside is that its hitbox is actually pretty bad, so it can be easily beaten by basic normals. Also, it has a weakness in that it leaves the lower part exposed, so personally, I prefer Jump C. Lee Iori's best special move is Mongtan. For those who have only played 98, it might feel a bit awkward because Mongtan's performance is a little different from before. If you want to follow up Mongtan with Gyuwa, you need to use Mongtan as an extra move. It's hard to land a raw extra Mongtan, so you usually use it after a close B into Mongtan. Unlike in 98, you can't do close C, Mongtan 1 hit then Gyuwa anymore. After one hit of Mongtan, you can only cancel into a special move that consumes Gui, like Guisalgi. That's why canceling Mongtan into Paljinya has become even more important, and inputting standing C after Seolpung has also become more crucial. If you're here, follow up with close B Mongtan, then E-drive as usual. Baekhap is a special move you'll frequently use with Mongtan. It's mainly used for side guarding or escaping, and it really performs excellently in those situations. With a simple command, it makes side guarding much easier, but honestly, you won't use this kind of big jump very often. That's because against characters with strong anti-air moves, you can quickly become an easy target. Usually dash, fast jump, and back step are used the most. Sometimes you can cross over the opponent when they get up, and sometimes you can't. The condition is very simple. When opponents who were knocked down while crouching get up, you can cross over them. However, it's almost impossible to grab a crouching opponent from behind while they're sitting. However, if you do a jump attack and the opponent blocks it while crouching, it's easy to confirm the hit. After forcing a close range combo, you can go for a dash, fast jump, or back step. You can try a quick jump or back step against passive characters, but with someone like Benimaru, only a back step targeting their wake up works. If you know how to use dash, fast jump, and back step and make your opponent think, you can use empty jump low attacks or command throws to really confuse them. This is Iori's crazy grab move, Seolpung. The reason it's so crazy is because of its invincibility frames. When Seolpung is activated, the character's hitbox completely disappears. So you can use Seolpung stylishly as an evasive move like this. What's really crazy is that its invincibility lasts even longer than Kang Gishin's Taiwu Gibo. So it boasts insane performance that lets you use it as an anti-air move like this too. Of course, the risk is a bit higher for respecters, but if you're not a Hanamja, it's a gamble worth taking at least once. And for those who weave or are Hanamja, after Seolpung, you can combo with Far C, but you don't need to charge your energy, just focus on damage, then dash and finish with Gyeomwol for the combo. There are basically two options after Seolpung. If you want to charge energy, use the Baekhap combo, and if you want damage, finish with Palchinya and Gyeomwol. If your opponent is frozen by the low Jolgui, then dashing Seolpung is also essential, right? The method is very simple. Input a dash, then just input the Seolpung direction, hold the last direction, and when you're close, press A or C. Because the input is maintained even at long distances, you shouldn't make mistakes. The sound comes after Seolpung and is easily recognized by anyone who hears it. After the grab, if you lightly input a dash at the timing when Lee Iori shouts, you'll know and dash. Haranjig and Yubi usually follow up with Palchinya after a ranged C, but this is a bit risky, isn't it? If you press it too quickly after setting up Seolpung, it might trigger with crouching C and waste your effort. So if you get used to dashing after Seolpung, you can at least prevent major mistakes, and the potential damage you can expect will also increase. If you have a certain amount of meter while cornered in a crisis, even crazy combos like this become possible. This combo is just an example, but if you land it, the game can be turned around. Wum is an anti-air move called Guizogo, which is short for carrying a ghost back home. But it's not as strong as it was in previous numbered titles, right? Unfortunately, the invincibility frames are too short, so if the opponent's attack comes out, you end up trading hits like this. Its anti-air ability is much worse compared to before, but that doesn't mean Guizogo is completely useless. It helps you deal big damage with a very simple mode combo, and then check 88,881. Always be prepared to use Yum, that's the Palsinyo way. Activation remains the same regardless of strength, but the range varies. And you can consume one more energy to add extra damage with Shehwa. If you're not in the corner, use it precisely because it might miss if the distance is too great. If you're in the corner, you can pick up items on the ground for performance. If you use Max Palsinyo, the activation is a bit slower, but the damage is good. If you use it on Solpamu, you can definitely make it hit, but just using it by itself doesn't really look cool. Since it even reduces the mode, it's better to add a stylish combo. It looks cooler and is more effective. The downside is that it consumes 4 energy, but if it's the last round, it's definitely worth using. It's really easy, and the damage is so good that your opponent's health will almost be gone. Thank you. At the end of the video, it's Lee Iori's Max 2 research. It comes in incredibly fast and grabs you. However, if you use it alone, you can avoid the opponent just by jumping during the screen blackout, and the damage is poor compared to the energy it consumes, so its efficiency isn't great. Usually, if you add the Montage 2 hint, you can also add a combo as a cast. If you use this in the corner with the full mode activated, the combo's efficiency also gets worse. Also, Dash Montage is actually pretty hard to pull off, so the difficulty goes up, and I don't recommend it. Actually, I thought about covering various mind games like Lily, Seolpung, and low attacks, but if I did that, it would be too much content. So I decided to only talk about the very basic mind game aspects and focus mostly on the technical specs. But I believe that those of you who are quick-witted have probably figured out how to give your opponent a hard time.